Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Monday Morning with Merle and Patti, and look at...
It's not Patti.
Definitely not Patti. So the reason Patti's not here is she has a really good excuse. She's on an airplane. So she will be back pretty soon, and actually I think we're going to be somewhere else, Patti and I, for next Monday. But right now we have the pleasure, yes, I should tag Nathan Singer in this video. Oh my gosh. Okay, he's tagged. Very good. So we have something special. Nathan Singer is my husband. Amazing. And he is an artist. So I'm thinking, what could we do that since Patti's not here, that would be interesting? And definitely Nathan's name come up. Because actually last week we were talking about, I was talking about relationships, and Nathan brought up this topic. I'm thinking, what has this topic got to do with anything? And then we figured it out. And the topic was, of course, it was art. The topic was the Burghers of Calais. Is that not true?
It's true.
And he told the story, and there was a relationship kicker to it that I thought was really interesting. But first, Nathan, why don't you tell the story of the Burghers of Calais?
Okay. I have notes here, but I'm not going to talk without looking at my notes to see if I can get them all. Right. The Burghers of Calais is a Rodin sculpture, a piece of sculpture by Auguste Rodin, done in 1890 or so for the city of Calais in France. And it commemorates something that happened in the 100 Years' War in the 13th century. And there's a relationship involved with the King of England and his wife, the Queen. And what happened was that he sent his army across the ocean, across the channel, and put a siege on the French city of Calais. And the French king, I have his name.
It was Edward III.
Right, the French king said to the city, the people of the city, hold...
Oh, I don't know what the French king was. Edward III was the right, English king.
And the French king said, hold, don't let the siege, don't give in to the siege, just hold on. But he couldn't send help, and so the people began to starve.
Well, wait a second. First of all, you want to explain that Calais is a port city, and it's right across from
Dover,
England, and the French, and you told me it had a wall around it.
Yeah, it was a fortified city, and it had a wall and gates and stuff. And so when the British Army came to siege, put the city under siege, they locked everything down.
They couldn't get in.
They couldn't get in, and the people couldn't get out.
Ah, that was the kicker. That's what the British or the English king did, was to not let anybody out.
So the people began to starve, and the British Queen thought this was very ominous. She was pregnant. And she thought, if this was...
Well, wait, before you got to that,
yeah.
What did the king say to Calais? How were they... Because didn't...
The queen, his wife, prevailed upon him to not do this because she felt that God would punish them and harm her unborn child. So she prevailed upon him to lift the siege. And he said, okay, but he gave this, in order to lift the siege of the city, 6 of the most prominent residents of the city had to surrender. They had to come out dressed in shrouds with a noose around their neck and the keys to the city and the castle in their hands. And these 6 men had to come out, and they thought that they were going to be executed. But the queen said, no, don't execute them. And of course, her husband agreed that he wouldn't do that. So to commemorate this 14th century event, Calais in the late in 1875 or so, commissioned Rodin to do this piece of sculpture. Now, the French government prohibits more than 12 copies of any Rodin casting, so there are only 12 copies of this piece in existence, the Burghers of Calais. And one of them happens to be in the Norton Simon Museum. So those of you who are local in California and Los Angeles can get out to Pasadena and actually see this piece. It made a big impression on me. I saw the one in London. And if you look it up on, what's the name of this? On Wikipedia, it tells you the story and it tells you where all the current pieces are. And the burghers pictured in the, and one of the people of Calais who volunteered were very high level, important people who were willing to sacrifice themselves for the city.
So, yes.
So they came out, and Rodin shows them a little bit larger than life, and in terrible anxiety and frustration, and their faces are so have so much emotion. The piece is a very emotional piece. That's one of Rodin's. I'll never forget seeing this piece many, many years ago, and the impression it made on me. So
you told us a story,
that's the story.
And I said, well, why are you telling me this story? I am going to be doing something about relationship. And that's really when he let me know about the wife and how King Edward III listened to his wife and spared the people, the burghers of Calais. And so it seems, so for me, the relationship miracle worker, the moral is that what people's relationships are important. And it would say, you would think if he's a big king, the important things have to do with the prime minister and all those other people. But his wife, what his wife wanted had a value for him. And relationships have values. And if she would have said to herself, oh, well,
stay out of it.
Yeah, I ought to mind my own business and just be pregnant. He didn't do that. He instead, he listened to his wife and spared those people. So relationships, marriages, any kind of relationship, you don't have to be married, but any relationship has a value. And I think lots of times people underestimate who they are, what their value is, and they tend to say, oh, well, never mind. They tend to say, oh, this is just a marriage, it didn't work, never mind. They never or often don't put in an effort to it. Sometimes with ourselves, we think, oh, we're not important. We don't put effort into it. Maybe we don't deserve to have a good relationship. We have crazy things in our head. But what's really, really important is, hello everybody, by the way, and who asked, yes, he is my husband. He is adorable. You're off camera, Nathan.
Okay, Queen Philippa I can't read her name, but it was Queen Philippa, who was the English king's wife, queen, and she is the one that instituted this request to him, and it saved the entire population of the city of Calais at that time.
So relationships are important. The other relationships that really came up with was people's value to community. Those burgers that said, and the first one was like the
part of French royalty.
Yeah, but he was like one of the important, most important people there, and he immediately offered up himself in order to save the whole city. By the way, that city was under siege for 11 months. Can you imagine what was going on? They were running out of food. They were
They were starving. They were running out of food. They ate their pets and they ate whatever they had.
Because people, the animals in the zoo, it was horrible. It was just horrible. So, well, that's the worst of relationships. War is totally the worst of relationships.
And Rodin also had a relationship with a female sculptor that worked in his studio, and she may have had, I don't know her involvement in this particular piece, but I'm sure that she had a relationship with Rodin that had some effect on the sculpture. He made the sculpture to stay at ground level for people to actually walk up to it and be face to face with the pieces. So it's a most amazing piece of work, and everyone knows the Kiss and the Thinker and the Rodin work that's very common. But this piece, like I said, they only made 12 of them, which is the French government rule that you can only make 12 castings of any Rodin
original
piece. Yes. So the piece online in Wikipedia tells you where the other 11 others are. And if you can get out to the Norton Simon, if you're an LA viewer, you can see the piece there. So that's my story. That's why I like it, because it is relationships. It is all about relationships.
Right, on many levels. In the 1300s, this all happened during the 100 Years' War. And then 500 years later, they're commemorating it. And they argued with Rodin because Rodin, like you said, wanted it to be ground level, right, so that people could interact with it, and they had this vision of we should look up at it. And there you are, fighting with the artist. And we were having wonderful comments too. So that's my story, and that's Nathan's story. So now you have just seen the relationship miracle worker in her relationship and how we interact. So just know that you don't have to be perfect. We embody that. Any other comments? No? Yes, I'm sticking to it. And that's it. So, hi, everybody. This is a great story. The other side of the coin is that the king saw the value in his wife, and relationships are about partners. Yes. Yes. We always see the value of the other person, and not always of ourselves. And I think it's important to see the value of yourself, because that enables you to value the people around you that care about you. So relationships, that's it. That's it. Do you have anything else to say?
No. If you do see the piece or you read about it on Wikipedia, you can text us and give us some ideas.
I would love that. That would be awesome. If you would have any comments about Burghers of Calais, Nathan Singer, and Merle Singer, the relationship miracle worker, and I'm sorry Patty wasn't here, but we did our best with that. What kind of an artist? Oh, yes. So a couple of people asked, what kind of an artist are you?
Okay. Currently, I do drawings. I like to do life studies. but I have done a computer generated. I've done a lot of computer generated art. Right now I'm doing life studies, and they're based in some training in Japanese, in sumi-e, and in some Japanese calligraphy. So they are very, the LA County Museum recently, in the not too distant past, had an exhibit, the Roshi of Roshis, which is a Japanese term. But the Roshi of Roshis came to do his calligraphy, and I was fortunate enough to see that and to see him work, and that affected some of my drawings and what I do. I noticed what he did, so I try and use a type of Japanese calligraphy to do my drawings. It's complicated.
So Nathan has a website, but it's not.
It's not up to date. I don't know if I have any of those Japanese drawings and any sumi or Roshi drawings. But I'll put some on there.
But it's Nathan Singer Artist Gallery, and Nathan is just at the beginning of the process to photograph his work and to put it online on that website. So that's our story. We are sticking to it. And tune in next week. Back with Merle and Patti. Have a great day, everybody. And write any comments. We love comments. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.